ECR Minerals is an exploration and development company focused on gold in Australia, and it says it has experienced significant progress in Queensland. To find out more about that, I'm delighted to be joined by the Executive Chairman, Nick Tulloch. So, Nick, I'm going to quote from the RNS, highly encouraging results from the enhanced gold recovery process at the Blue Mountain project. If these results are repeatable across the area, then the company may have a commercial project suitable for a production plant on site. So, what's the next steps to find out if results are repeatable?
Morning, Sarah, and yeah, a good question. It's a question that a lot of our investors have been asking us. We're pretty excited about what has come through in this report from Gecko. It's the first time since I joined the company we've sent out results for an independent analysis, an independent report, not just what's the gold concentration, but a little bit more in terms of what can we do with it. And the reason we're using the word commercialization is, I mean, first of all, that's what mining companies should do. It's not about finding the mineral or the metal; it's about generating revenue. So our objective is to do that. And what we have with Blue Mountain, it's different to some of our other resources or other tenements. It's an alluvial resource, so the gold is at surface or near surface, and nothing's really more than about 4 meters below the surface. You might talk to other mining companies that are drilling tens, fifties, hundreds of meters under the ground at vast expense. What we have is very very near the surface. In some cases visible, in most cases not. And we think the commercialization could work along the lines of a plant on site, which is gravity fed. The ore, the mass will be trenched. It will be sluiced through a plant through a centrifugal source, and that should produce, based on what Gecko told us, around about a 92% gold recovery. And to put that in context, that might be several times, 5 times maybe more than perhaps the original prospectors would have found. They'd be looking for something that's visible. Most of the gold in an alluvial resource is not visible to the naked eye, and therefore you're using modern technology, essentially gravity-fed modern technology, that will capture a much greater portion of that gold. That's probably quite a long-winded answer, but that's the plan if it all works out.
So even though the gold is near surface, it will still cost money to extract it. So how will this be funded?
Well, I think that's to be worked out. So what we have so far is we know we have gold. We know we have the ability to extract it, and we know we have the ability to extract it very efficiently and probably cost effectively. But you're right, nothing comes for free. If we're going to go down a commercialization route, the next step is to work out is it economic? We're not sort of heading off to the shop right now to buy diggers and sluicing machines. We're not off hiring people. This is about working out what's possible. But this should not be a very expensive operation. Again, we're not going 100 meters into the ground. This is very much surface level or near surface level. So, in terms of funding, the company in the past has used equity funding. I mean, investors will be well known to our sort of share issues over the past, both in my time and previously. That could be an option, but we're also quite sensitive about dilution. I and Mike Whitlow, in fact, all of the board have taken their remuneration predominantly in shares over the last year. So we're not going to go sort of willy-nilly in the market and just raise money on a sort of speculative idea. We need to make sure this works. There could be other sources of funding. There could be cost sharing, there could be project sharing, there could be working with local contractors. This is all to be worked out. I mean, we're in receipt of a report. It's very exciting. It's a big opportunity, but we're not at the point yet where we can say this is what it costs and this is how it's going to be funded. That's the next stage of the operation.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the early prospectors there. The indications are that you can potentially recover materially higher quantities of gold than the levels achieved by those first prospectors. But with the benefit of time and technological advances, you're not really comparing like with like. So what does materially higher mean in the 21st century?
Well, I guess if we start with what Gecko said, and Gecko say that we can recover just under 92% of the gold, you then extrapolate back to say, well, I don't know, 150 years ago, the guy who's panning for gold in the river, what's he going to find? He'll find probably what he can see. And so your delta between what he can see and what we recover is the material increase. I'd be guessing it could be 5 times, it could be 6 times, it could be 10 times. What we know is that because most of the gold is not visible to the naked eye, what we know is that modern technology, and just to put this in context, we're not using AI or sort of high tech electronic equipment here. This is a gravity fed water based machine. We are able to take out a greater portion of the gold, even if it's not visible. And that's the difference. I mean, I was joking with the team the other day. It's like sort of panning for gold on an industrial scale. It's better equipment, it's better knowledge, and that is what could make this site economic. And I'm very cautious on the words. And when you get a report like Gecko, it's very easy to get overexcited, and start saying, well, we've got 92% of the gold coming out. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, all sorts of things could go wrong. And so what we want to do is present a very coherent, considered approach. Yes, we've had some amazingly good news, but amazingly good news does not necessarily mean you can extrapolate millions of dollars of revenue. It means there's a process to follow, having had that good news to work out what we do next and how we do it most efficiently.
So one investor has suggested that the board needs to apply some focus and rein back on flitting between prospects, because you mentioned other tenements. So is there any merit to that criticism, particularly as you're gearing up for a maiden diamond drilling program at the Tambo project in Victoria?
I think it's a fair comment, but equally, a year ago when I first joined ECR, one of the comments I made to a number of people is a big advantage of ECR is that for a small company, we have a very wide portfolio of opportunities. And diversification matters. Very often in a mining or natural resources situation, the result can turn out to be binary. And so what you don't want, I would say, as an investor, is to have a company that's got literally all of its eggs in one basket. So a big advantage for ECR is we have a number of baskets for a start. But the investor is right. What we shouldn't be doing is spreading ourselves too thin. What we should be doing is identifying where we should be focusing our effort. Mike Whitlow and I joined ECR a little over a year ago. One of our first thoughts was a lot of the activity in the past hadn't really proved a particular strategy. So we went through systematically analysing and working on all of the tenements that we've got, with the exception of Conda which is a licence in the north of Queensland still to be granted. We've done work on all 5 of the other tenements, and that was deliberate to determine where we should be focusing our money. Maybe what we have today in this report from Gecko, maybe we have that first green light that says actually Blue Mountain is a really exciting prospect, and that's where we should be focused. I don't want to say it's definitely that just yet, because there's still a bit of work to be done. But certainly in my year and a bit at ECR, this is the first time we've had an independent expert say, not only have you got gold, but here's a way to get it out. And the next part of the question is, that could be, if all goes to plan, that could be commercial.
So in terms of experts, you've also told investors about the engagement of Mike Parker, who's known for project development. So what is the priority for his skill set?
Well, it's been on my mind for a while that we need more geologist expertise in the company. We have, as we just discussed, we have several tenements, we have several projects. I'm not a geologist by training. I've got a natural interest in it. I would say the same with Mike. We have a very, very capable chief geologist on the ground in Australia. His name is Adam Jones. But Adam needs support, and it's not fair on Adam, and it's not fair on the company if everything is on Adam's shoulders. It's important that 2 heads are better than one. 2 people, just as in any specialism, 2 people can look at the same opportunity and possibly have quite different ideas. So the ability to have a more informed conversation with experts, more experts around the table, was always important to us in ECR. And so Mike joining just at the start of this week, I think again is a big step up in our capability. And the timing couldn't be better. We've got this very exciting news on Blue Mountain. We've got opportunities elsewhere, but with Mike part of the team, that gives us just a little bit more muscle in determining what could happen next. And as you quite rightly say, how best to develop the project.
So 1 year on since you and Mr. Whitlow joined ECR. So what is the plan? 12 months on, what is the plan to commercial production?
Well, I mean, as I said at the start, that yeah, natural resources companies tend to celebrate finding something under the ground. For an investor, they should celebrate revenue and they should celebrate profit. So we need to join those dots. We know we've found gold. We think we found a way of bringing it out commercially. Now let's prove it and let's turn that into revenue. So going back to your earlier question, I think the investor you referred to is right. I think we need to focus on a small number of opportunities that we've really proven could be exciting. I'm not going to say that's just one opportunity. This is not all about Blue Mountain. This is a company with a number of different tenements, a number of different I'd say quite exciting things that we can do. And Tambo, where we're going to be diamond drilling in the coming weeks, very, very different opportunity to Blue Mountain, but could be equally exciting in its own right. So the next steps are to determine where we go in terms of which projects we focus on, sensibly and conservatively fund them. And you can see from how we've operated the company, all of the board are taking a majority of their remuneration in shares. That's going to continue going forward. We're all happy to do that. We are not big spenders. We've closed down a London office, which was just not required for a business that's mostly focused in Australia. We're saving money where we can, and we're spending money in the ground. And it's all about finding a commercial project that can eventually start producing revenue for our shareholders.
Nick Tulloch, Chairman of ECR Minerals, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah.